Hello, I am Barendipitous, and here I'm basically we're essentially getting to the point where I probably won't have a lot to say about most of these books, so I just kind of wanted to lump all these together. They also, for the most part, kind of fit the same general category of like sort of anthologies, if you will, maybe with one exception. So yeah, just like before, I'm going to go over each of these one by one here. Not necessarily in release order, but anyway. So, Candlekeep Mysteries. Most of these books are going to basically be anthologies, like a collection of about 7 adventures that center around a particular theme. In this one, Candlekeep Mysteries, the theme for these adventures is you go into a magical library and you find a book, and it leads you to it leads you down a certain path into a particular adventure. Obviously, as a librarian, that speaks to me. I love that. There is a special book, and a special book for each adventure that starts you on each adventure, or it's like the main plot point of each adventure. And Candlekeep, the titular Candlekeep, is a magical library in the Forgotten Realms. It was made an appearance in in Baldur's Gate: Descent into Avernus, and so here we have a more detailed map of Candlekeep, what it's like in Candlekeep, and things like that. And yeah, each adventure has again they show what the book looks like, and you go on an adventure to either find the book or the book contains a clue that hopefully leads you to some kind of treasure or something. Um, but yeah, that's really cool. I've only run 2 of these adventures. Book of the Raven is one of them. Um, which is definitely in the sort of like gothic horror, like haunted, like spooky mansion kind of vibe. And then the other one, I'll mention it when I get there. The other one that I've run before, no, not this one. I think for some of these anthology books, they have like guest writers come in to write adventures, which is really cool. The Price of Beauty, no, I have not run that one. Let's see what Book of Cylinders. Yeah, must be a later one. Although again, I love looking at the pictures and everything, and I hope to run most, if not all, of these adventures at some point. Being a librarian, that would be awesome. Here we go, Lore of Larue. I ran this one as well. In both of those cases, for Book of the Raven and Lore of Larue, I kind of had to abbreviate them because in both cases, I was asked to run a one-shot, just like a one-shot session for coworkers, and most of those coworkers who had not played D&D before or who were less familiar with it. And so I just kind of ran a shortened version of each of those for them. And I chose these adventures because we are fellow librarians, right? And I'm like, wouldn't it be cool if I just kind of used these adventures for anytime I need like a one-shot or like a short, anytime I need a short adventure for my fellow librarians, I will choose one of these. And I guess there's more than 7 adventures in here, but yeah, it's worked really well for me so far, and I've been very pleased with it, and I look forward to checking out more as basically choosing another one, another adventure in here next time that same situation comes up. But yeah, I think most of these books, if I'm not mistaken, maybe I'm mistaken, I don't know, probably won't really have a map, but of course this will have a map of Candlekeep. So yeah, I'm gonna show you the whole thing. I'm trying to get through all the books like fairly quickly here, and it's blank on the back. So this is only a one-sided map, unfortunately, but in this particular case, it kind of makes sense because there's too many other locations for it to make a map for it. So anyway, there you go. That is Candlekeep Mysteries. Ghosts of Saltmarsh. This is a collection of adventures that are all like ocean adventures essentially, and also centered on a small fishing village called Saltmarsh. I have run a campaign. Like for most of these anthology books, you can basically just run a campaign from the first adventure to the last one, and they can all sort of tie together if you want them to. And that is what I did with this at one point. I ran a whole campaign that went through all of the adventures in the Ghosts of Saltmarsh. Um, but yeah, there's some fun stuff in there, and these are all based on like old adventures too. They give you some they give you some context and some history behind like these old adventures from like the 70s, 80s, maybe 90s, depending. And they sort of like um, so I updated them for fifth edition rules. But yeah, just various things about like invasions of like fish people trying to like gain a foothold on the local village. There's like a haunted house in here somewhere. There's pirates, and yeah, there's also rules in here for like just like in Baldur's Gate Descended to Avernus, there are rules in here for running a ship. So yeah, no map in this one. Uh, I'm a sucker for pirates, Age of Sail kind of stuff, and so I really enjoy this one. This one is good. Okay, this is probably the first Tales of the Yawning Portal. This is probably the first anthology book that I got. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, and actually, this is the last one of the anthology books that I have. There are other anthology books out there. There's one called Keys from the Golden Vault, which is basically an anthology of heists. And there's a couple other ones as well. Some of them look interesting to me, but I just don't own them. Tales from the Yawning Portal is the very first adventure anthology that Wizards of the Coast created, and this is like 7 very classic dungeons, very like classic dungeons from decades past. And you may remember Yawning Portal is the name of the tavern in Waterdeep that had the big hole that led down to Undermountain. And so basically these are all adventures that start in that tavern. But they don't go to Undermountain. You just instead of going down into Undermountain like for a Dungeon of the Mad Mage, you just kind of go out to these other places. Now I've only run like 1 or 2 of these. I think that first one, I think I ran part of it. These are apparently like some of the most iconic old dungeons from like the first few editions of D&D. Not that oh yeah, I ran this one, Hidden Shrine of Tamao-chan. There was some fun stuff in there. Kind of like a Aztec or Mayan vibe. I'm sorry, I'm not entirely sure like whether it's more Aztec inspired or more Mayan inspired or something like that. But yeah, so there's some stuff that has to do with dragons or with giants and so forth. This is that's right, this is a mega dungeon. You can see how huge this is. So imagine this like 23 times. Although for a Dungeon of the Mad Mage, although levels in Dungeon of the Mad Mage are maybe like probably 2/3 of this size or something like that, usually. But yeah, my understanding of this one, this Dead and Thay one, it was originally created as an adventure for basically you'd have multiple adventuring parties just like scattered throughout this whole thing. It's kind of like so there's something you would run for as like a large event or at a convention or something like that. And I think there are like mechanics for like interacting between parties and stuff like that. I have been involved in one very large scale D&D convention kind of thing with like hundreds of DMs running like a connected adventure for like over 1,000 players. But but yeah, I've never tried this one. This thing is massive. Against the giants, cool stuff here. But at the very end, we have the infamous Tomb of Horrors. I have I generally so I got this book mainly for, I mean, all the other adventures looked cool, but I especially wanted the 5th edition version of Tomb of Horrors, just because it's so like infamous in D&D history essentially, and I now understand why. There's just all kinds of like, it's like I said in previous D&D videos in this channel, it's not the best, it's not the easiest dungeon to run. It is very much a dungeon crawl, but like the puzzles are so obscure and obtuse, and so kind of like nonsensical. That in universe, this dungeon was created by a lich named Acerak, who creates dungeons specifically to destroy or mess with adventurers. Like he knows how he thinks he knows how adventurers think, and so he tries to like mess with them every step of the way. And Gary Gygax, the person who created this dungeon, he specifically wanted to mess with his players. There's a bit more of an adversarial relationship there, at least in the context of the game. And so it's just um, it's just really obscure, obtuse, and just kind of like slow going, trying to figure out, you know, it's like um, essentially a lot of these puzzles are written in a way such a way as like you have to know the right answer, and the right answer doesn't make sense. Essentially, obviously, again, you can run it however you want, but as written, that's how it is. Also, the fifth edition version is not as deadly as the original. Like it is a little, it's easier to survive some traps technically, but still, there are some things in here that instantly kill your character. Like no ifs, ands, or buts about it. At least as written. It looks very cool though. Like I have used bits and pieces of this dungeon layout because there are some very classic elements to it. And I did run this dungeon like once or twice for players just because they wanted to experience Tomb of Horrors, like specifically for the novelty of this particular adventure. And I'm always happy to do that. I'm always happy to run people through Tomb of Horrors. It's just that usually the way that there's false starts, there's false beginnings. It's incredibly unlikely that that your characters will actually reach the true ending as written, essentially. So it's it does give lots of crazy ideas for traps, and I do appreciate its place in the history of D&D. But if you're looking for a classic dungeon crawl, I would. If you're looking for a classic dungeon crawl where you want like equal parts combat and puzzle and exploration, try a different dungeon, because Tomb of Horrors, there's almost no combat whatsoever, and the puzzles are just. Are they puzzles or are they like, mental traps? Essentially, I don't even know. Like there's lots of like gotchas in there, which seem kind of unfair. But anyway, that's just me. I'm still happy to have this, and also the cover looks cool. This guy is the proprietor, the owner of the Yawning Portal. But yeah, Durnan, he's a fun character. Okay, now we're getting into a couple of random things here. Actually, I'll start with this one. Acquisition Incorporated. So Acquisition Incorporated is or was a very long-running D&D show, basically, and this book is based on that D&D show. It's a show I've never watched. I've never seen any like Acquisition Incorporated episodes. I've seen clips here and there, but I don't have any context for the characters or the reason why I wanted to get this book is that this is essentially what if D&D but like The Office? Like I'm talking about like the TV show The Office. Like what if there was like adventurers running like a business called Acquisition Incorporated, and you just kind of sort of establish your business and like run it and things like that. And there's different like specific like business type like player options here. The art is a little bit different and kind of fun. There is a mini campaign in here which I did run once, so and that is fun. There's lots of fun things in there, but yeah, this is an odd one definitely, but I do like having it. There's the business, the mechanics of running a adventurer business in D&D is kind of fun. The character subclasses and backgrounds, I think it's just backgrounds, well whatever, are fun as well. And there's some wacky like extra dimensional things going on towards the end of this particular adventure. But yeah, you can tell that like all of like the people who made the show had a lot of fun, and you feel a lot of that in this book here. And here, so this is a different kind of book, D&D book. You may notice it has a Magic the Gathering symbol on it if you're familiar with that. This is one of several Magic the Gathering settings that have been made into D&D books. I have not really ever been interested in any of the Magic the Gathering settings just because I never really played much Magic anyway. I don't have a lot of context for it. But I really wanted this one because Strixhaven is basically a wizard college. And obviously, because I work in a academic library, I'm a bit of a sucker for anything that has to do with academics. And I love the world building of Strixhaven too, because there are different like sub colleges in here, and each sub college is like two is basically you take two Magic the Gathering colors, and they make these different sub colleges, and you basically are a student at Strixhaven. And you can like sort of declare your major. There's a mini adventure in here, a mini campaign in here, which I have run. You can have like friendships and rivalries, and there's like example character, potential characters for that. Different places around Strixhaven, life on campus, stuff like that. Like I love this kind of stuff. Like magic schools are like they're my jam. I love stuff like that. Any kind of magic school, like that TV show Wednesday on Netflix, like Wednesday Addams. That was a cool like academic thing as well that I really liked. But yeah, a fun adventure that takes you through like your 4 years of Strixhaven. One of the colleges is called Lorehold. That's awesome. There's just so much that I, particularly as a librarian gamer, love about this. There's like these cogwork archivist, like library aides, basically. There's like fractal mascot. There's like an ink mascot. Yeah, inkling mascot. So many cool things that like if I were designing a wizard college or a wizard school, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of cool ideas that I would want to sort of like take inspiration from with this. And then of course there is a map of Strixhaven, which is it just one? No, it is double-sided. It's more of a stylized map, really. It doesn't give you like anything exact, but it sort of shows you the general feel of each of the different colleges. And then let's see what was on the back here again. Oh yeah, the different areas of the of campus, like the library. There's a place called Detention Bog, cafe, tavern, like the sports arena and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, so even though I don't really have that much in terms of like experience or cards with Magic. I love Strixhaven as a setting. It's really cool. And then finally for this video, I wanted to show off this. This is probably one of the more recent D&D books that I've got. This is basically a set of 3 books with Spelljammer. Spelljammer is D&D in space. And I'll be honest, I have absolutely no experience whatsoever with Spelljammer. It just came in this box set, and I thought it looked cool. And Treasure Planet is one of my absolute favorite Disney movies, and so I wanted to get this. If and when I'm able to run a sort of D&D in space kind of adventure. Essentially, these 3 books have. So one of them is Astral Adventurer's Guide, which is sort of like a guide to the astral plane, to space, essentially. I have not really looked at these books at all. I haven't even removed the map from the binding. Oh yeah, I have removed the map. Okay, that's right, because it's hard to tear the map off of it. But yeah, what even is this place? I don't know what this place is because I haven't really read the books. But the Rock of Brawl, Bral. So I guess this is a city on an asteroid, from what I gather. And then I guess this is the underside of that. So I don't know what the Rock of Brawl is. I don't know. But I love I love space things, D&D in space, like ships in space is awesome to me. Boo's Astral Menagerie this is basically a monster manual for the astral plane. I'm sure there's lots of really cool space things in here. And then finally, Light of Xerxes is an adventure that I have not run or played or even looked at. So yeah, again, I think one of the main reasons why I haven't really looked at these very much is like, I mean, I am a very busy person with just everything in my life. Also, again, I've also been getting into a lot of like tabletop RPGs that are not D&D as well, and so just kind of like learning various game systems has taken up a lot of my time and interest. But I'm happy to have this. Like I have D&D in space. You know, I think I definitely don't regret getting this, and I hope to be able to use it at some point. I would love to run a D&D, like a Treasure Planet type, jaunt in space and everything. But yeah, with that, that actually concludes all of my D&D 5th edition books. I've made videos on all of them. There are still some D&D like accessories that I have, and obviously I haven't talked about any of my other non-D&D tabletop RPGs yet. But yeah, this sort of concludes my current D&D book collection. And if I get any more D&D 5th edition books or D&D books or whatever, then obviously that will be later in the TTRPG shelf playlist. That does mean that it will be sort of separate. Like that does mean that there will be the playlist will probably have like D&D books and then other TTRPGs and then more D&D books. Unless, well, I mean, I guess I could move things around the playlist. I'll figure it out. It's not that big of a deal. But yeah, there you go. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, all the best.